Okay, let's talk Filipino food. What comes to mind? Maybe the rich, tangy adobo? The sour, comforting hug of sinigang? Or maybe the crispy perfection of lumpia? It's all delicious, right? But here's the twist. Filipino food isn't one thing. It's a delicious, chaotic, mind-bending fusion unlike anything else on earth. What if I told you the most iconic Filipino dish, adobo, isn't really Spanish, even though the name is? And how did Spam, that American canned meat, become a beloved breakfast staple and a symbol of Filipino identity? Forget simple fusion. This is a culinary collision course spanning thousands of years, involving ancient preservation techniques, Chinese noodles, Spanish stews, and American convenience. Get ready to have your taste buds blown because the story of Filipino food is the story of the Philippines itself, a history of migration, colonization, and incredible resilience, all served up on a plate. All right, so in parts 1 and 2, we saw how the Philippines itself is a collision. Islands formed by tectonic crashes, people formed by waves of migration. The food? Exactly the same story. But before we get to the delicious chaos of outside influences, let's strip it back. What did the first Filipinos eat? What did those original Austronesian voyagers who sailed from Taiwan 4,000 years ago bring with them and find when they arrived? Forget complex sauces for a second. Think foundational. The Austronesian starter pack included essentials like rice, taro, bananas, coconuts, yams, plus domesticated pigs, chickens, and dogs. Combine that with the staggering bounty of the islands. Over 7,000 islands mean coastline everywhere, so think abundant seafood. Add native fruits like mangoes, calamansis, papayas, root crops like taro, vegetables, ginger, and other local spices. The cooking methods were straightforward, driven by the environment and the need to survive in a tropical climate. Boiling, steaming, roasting over open fires were common. Cooking in bamboo tubes, placing them directly in the fire, was a simple and effective technique. But crucially, given the heat and humidity, preservation was key. How do you make food last without refrigerators? Two foundational ingredients became the bedrock of Filipino flavor: vinegar and salt. Vinegar, often made from coconut water, palm sap, like nipa palm, or sugarcane, wasn't just for tang, it was an antimicrobial agent, a brilliant way to keep meat and fish from spoiling quickly. Salt, harvested from the sea, was the other pillar of preservation. This combination, sour and salty, asim and alad, became the fundamental taste profile, the culinary signature you still find in countless Filipino dishes today. Think about kinilaw, the Filipino ceviche, raw fish cooked by the acidity of vinegar, maybe seasoned with ginger or onions and chili. That's ancient preservation technology right there, delicious and ingenious. And the coconut? Oh man, the coconut was life. They ate the fresh meat, drank the refreshing water, boiled the meat in water to make versatile cooking oil, fermented the water into vinegar, scraped the mature meat, and mixed it with water to make coconut milk or gata for enriching dishes. The leaves and trunks were even used for building houses. One source even said a family could live off just 2 coconut trees. That's your original pantry right there. Sour, salty, maybe some ginger or local herbs, cooked simply over fire or boiled, often using bamboo. So, here's the first big aha moment. That sour, salty base, that reliance on vinegar, that's the indigenous Filipino food DNA. It wasn't brought by outsiders. It was born from the islands themselves, a brilliant adaptation to the tropical environment. But this raises a huge question. If vinegar and salt preservation is the ancient Filipino way, why is arguably the most famous Filipino dish, adobo, known by a Spanish name? That delicious paradox is where the story gets really interesting. We're diving deep into how this Austronesian foundation met wave after wave of new flavors. And hey, if you're enjoying uncovering these layers of history with us, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us keep bringing these stories to you. Okay, ready for the first major culinary collision? Let's talk adobo. So, adobo, everyone thinks it's Spanish, right? The name is Spanish. Adobar means to marinate. When Spanish colonizers arrived in the 16th century, they saw Filipinos cooking meat in vinegar and salt, and maybe other local ingredients like garlic and peppercorns. This indigenous cooking and preservation method looked similar to their own adobo preservation method back in Spain, which often involved paprika, oregano, garlic, and vinegar. So the Spanish, probably out of familiarity, just slapped their name onto the local technique. Boom! Dopamine breadcrumb. Adobo is an indigenous cooking method that the Spanish misidentified and named. The original Filipino version, sometimes called adobong puti, white adobo, relied solely on vinegar, garlic, bay leaves, black peppercorns, and salt. Soy sauce, which gives modern adobo its characteristic dark color and umami depth, was a later addition brought by Chinese traders. This is completely different from Spanish adobo, which is often a paprika-heavy marinade or stew. This perfectly captures the theme. A native technique gets a foreign name and later incorporates other foreign ingredients, soy sauce becoming something uniquely Filipino. But Spain wasn't the first major influence. Long before Magellan, Chinese traders were sailing to the Philippines, possibly as early as the Tang dynasty, 7th to 10th centuries AD. They set up outposts, particularly in areas like Binondo in Manila, founded 1594, the world's oldest Chinatown, and they brought their rich food culture with them. What did they introduce? So much. Soy sauce, toyo, fish sauce, patis. Though fermentation was indigenous, the specific sauces likely evolved with trade. Tofu, tokwa, various vegetables like Chinese cabbage, and techniques like stir-frying, gisa, and of course, two absolute titans of Filipino cuisine, Pancit and Lumpia. Pancit just means noodles, and the name itself comes from the Hokkien Chinese phrase pian esit, meaning something conveniently cooked. Makes sense, right? Quick, easy, versatile, Filipinos embraced noodles wholeheartedly, creating countless regional variations using different noodles, toppings, and sauces, pancit malibon, seafood sauce, pancit habhab eaten off a banana leaf, pancit miki, egg noodles, pancit bihon, rice noodles, and so many more. And here's a cool bit. Noodles often symbolize long life in Chinese culture, a belief adopted in the Philippines, making pancit essential for birthday celebrations. Another breadcrumb, eating pancit is like wishing someone a long life. Then there's lumpia. These rolls were also brought by Chinese immigrants, likely from Fujian province. The original name might mean moist cake, rumping. Filipinos took the basic idea, a thin wrapper filled with meat and/or vegetables, and ran with it. You have lumpiang sariwa, fresh lumpia, often with a sweet sauce, various fried versions, lumpiang prito, and the super popular lumpiang Shanghai, typically filled with ground meat. It's another perfect example of taking a foreign concept and making it completely your own, a staple merienda or snack or party food. Okay, then came Spain. For over 300 years, 1565 to 1898. They didn't just name adobo, they brought a wave of new ingredients via the galleon trade connecting Manila and Acapulco, Mexico. This introduced New World ingredients that fundamentally changed the landscape. Tomatoes, onions, garlic, bell peppers, corn, potatoes, avocados, plus olive oil and techniques like sautéing and stewing. This collision of Spanish, Mexican ingredients and methods with the existing Filipino palate created a whole new category of dishes, often richer and tomato-based. Think menudo, pork and liver stew, caldereta, meat stew, often goat with tomatoes and peppers, afritada, chicken or pork simmered in tomato sauce, mechado, larded beef, pochero, beef and banana stew. These richer, often elaborate stews became fiesta staples, reflecting the Spanish influence on celebrations and communal gatherings. So we've got the Austronesian base, sour, salty, simple cooking, Chinese staples, noodles, soy sauce, and stir-fry, and Spanish richness, stews, tomatoes, sautéing. What's missing? America. The U.S. colonial period was much shorter, 1898 to 1946, but its impact was massive, accelerated by World War II, introducing efficiency and convenience. Think pressure cooking, refrigeration, changing preservation needs, hamburgers, hot dogs, sandwiches, mayonnaise, ketchup, and canned goods. And the undisputed king of American canned influence, Spam. How did this canned processed pork shoulder become a Filipino icon? It arrived with American GIs during World War II. In a time of scarcity, it was a shelf-stable, readily available source of protein. Initially, access to Spam and other American goods from the PX stores on U.S. bases was a sign of status, a bit of luxury. But it stuck around long after the war, deeply embedding itself in the culture. Why? It's salty, fatty, fries up beautifully crisp, has a long shelf life, and pairs perfectly with garlic-fried rice, sinigang, and a fried egg, itlog. Enter Spamsilog, the ultimate Filipino breakfast comfort food, part of the whole family of silog dishes, rice plus egg plus protein. Final breadcrumb. Spam went from military ration to status symbol to beloved comfort food. It's a taste of home for many, a symbol of Filipino adaptability, taking something foreign and integrating it so completely it becomes part of the national identity, even while acknowledging its colonial roots. So what is Filipino food? After all these collisions, Indigenous Austronesian, Chinese, Spanish, Mexican, American, what defines it? The answer is all of it. But more importantly, it's how these influences were absorbed, adapted, and transformed into something uniquely Filipino. Filipino food isn't just a copy-paste of foreign dishes. It's a creative synthesis, a testament to culinary ingenuity. Adobo kept its Spanish name, but retained its indigenous soul, later embracing Chinese soy sauce. Pancit and Lumpia arrived from China but exploded into countless unique Filipino forms tailored to local tastes and ingredients. Spanish dishes like caldereta or menudo were adapted using local ingredients, maybe calamansi instead of lemon, different chilies, and often adjusted to the Filipino preference for a balance of flavors, frequently incorporating that foundational love for sourness, asim, or sweetness, tamis, alongside the saltiness introduced by Spain. And Spam, it wasn't just eaten out of the can, it became Spamsilog, embedded within a classic Filipino breakfast structure, served alongside garlic rice and egg. The core lesson here is resilience and adaptation. Filipino cuisine is a masterclass in taking external influences, whether through friendly trade or forced colonization, and making them undeniably Filipino. It's about retaining that indigenous flavor DNA, sour, salty, reliance on local bounty, while skillfully weaving in new textures, ingredients, and techniques to create something new yet familiar. Think about Sinigang, that iconic sour soup, often considered another contender for the national dish. It feels purely Filipino, right? Tamarind is a common souring agent, but its flexibility tells the story of adapting to local resources. You can make it with pork, beef, shrimp, fish, and you can sour it with tamarind, sure, but also guava, tomatoes, calamansi, unripe mangoes, batuan fruit, kamyas, It uses whatever souring agent is local and available, showcasing incredible regional diversity built upon that ancient preference for sour flavors. Or look at halo halo, the ultimate dessert mashup. The name literally means mix mix. Shaved ice, milk, sweet beans, mungo, kidney beans, jellies, gulaman, fruits, jackfruit, banana strings, leche flan, Spanish influence, ube halaya, purple yam jam, indigenous, maybe even cornflakes or ice cream, American influence. It's a chaotic, colorful, refreshing, delicious reflection of the entire layered culinary history in one glorious glass. It makes no sense, and yet perfect sense. Ultimately, the origin of Filipino food isn't a single point on a map or a single moment in time. It's a continuous story of movement, exchange, adaptation, and innovation. It's history on a plate, reflecting the complex, layered journey of the Filipino people themselves. Every dish, from the simplest vinegar-cured kinilaw to the most elaborate multi-influenced fiesta spread, tells a story of survival, creativity, and the enduring power of flavor to define identity. And just as food reflects history through layers of influence, so do the ways people interact and structure their society. How did centuries of communal living, trade, colonization, and the pursuit of harmony shape unique Filipino social customs? That's next time as we explore the origin of deeply ingrained customs like bayanihan, hiya, and butang navoob. Wow, feeling hungry yet? What's your absolute favorite Filipino dish? And what part of this food history totally surprised you? Was it the real story of adobo, indigenous technique, Spanish name, Chinese soy sauce? The Chinese origins of Pancit and Lumpia, meaning conveniently cooked and moist cake? Or the incredible journey of Spam, from GI ration to beloved breakfast icon? Let me know your biggest food aha moment in the comments below. This was part 3 of our 10-part series. If you enjoyed this culinary journey, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss part 4, the origin of Filipino customs. It's going to be fascinating. Thanks for watching. Kain tayo!